The sand under my boots wasn't sand at all. It was powdered glass. It shimmered under the twin suns of Carthvel like a field of stars crushed beneath our feet. Every breath scorched my lungs, and every step felt like I was walking over razors. They'd thrown me in here to die. That much was clear from the moment I saw the gate close behind me, locking with a hiss of alien hydraulics and a sound that echoed through the arena like the snap of a coffin lid. Above me, the crowd roared, thousands of alien throats bellowing in strange rhythmic tones. Their cheers weren't words, just vibrations that rattled my bones. Across the arena floor, my opponent stood waiting. 7 feet tall, skin like molten obsidian. A creature built for war. A Varran Berserker. They called him Drath the Breaker. I had no armor, no weapon. Just a tattered jumpsuit and a body that refused to quit. And somewhere in the royal box above, sitting among the highborn of this desert planet, was an alien woman watching with silver eyes that never blinked. She was the one who'd asked to see the human. The Varran moved first. He pounded his chest, letting out a guttural roar that shook the air. The arena floor trembled as he charged, each step like a hammer blow against the ground. I didn't move. Not yet. He swung his glaive down in a blur of black metal and snarling rage. I ducked under it, feeling the wind of the strike slice past my neck. Before he could recover, I stepped inside his reach and drove my fist straight into his ribs. It was like punching a steel wall. Pain shot up my arm, but I didn't stop. I shifted my weight, dropped low, and used his momentum to hurl him over my shoulder. The crowd went dead silent. Drath landed hard enough to send glass dust flying. He rolled, roared again, and came up swinging. This time I was ready. He jabbed, I sidestepped. He swept low, I leaped over it. He brought his glaive up for a killing arc. And I caught it. The alien weapon burned my palms, but I yanked it from his grasp, spinning it once, then snapped it over my knee like dry wood. The silence in the arena deepened. When I looked up at the royal box, I saw her again, the alien woman with the silver eyes. Her lips parted slightly, and for the first time, her expression wasn't one of disdain. It was fear. I'd learned something long ago, back in the ruins of Elysium Station during the Orion Wars. When you've got nothing left to lose, you become something terrifying. Humans weren't bred for beauty or flight or cosmic wisdom. We were bred to survive, to bite when cornered, to rise when broken. The Varran charged again, maddened now. His claws lashed out, cutting across my chest. I felt blood bloom under the fabric, but I didn't flinch. He went for a second strike, but I caught his wrist mid-swing, twisted, and drove my forehead into his face. The crack echoed like thunder. Blood, not mine, splattered the sand. I let him drop, gasping, then grabbed him by the throat and slammed him down hard enough that the arena floor dented beneath us. His eyes fluttered. He tried to speak, but all that came out was a low, gurgling growl. The crowd had stopped cheering. They were watching something they didn't understand. Something primal. Something human. From the corner of my eye, I saw guards shifting uneasily near the royal platform. The alien nobles whispered among themselves. Some looked angry, others intrigued. And the woman with the silver eyes, she leaned forward. I don't know why I noticed her so much. Maybe it was because she looked almost curious. Her skin was a pale lavender, smooth and faintly luminous. Thin markings like constellations traced across her cheeks, glowing softly as she watched me. She didn't cheer, didn't smile, didn't breathe, just stared. And when I met her gaze, even from across the arena, she froze, like she'd seen something impossible. The fight was supposed to be entertainment. A demonstration that humans were fragile, weak, lesser creatures to be mocked and broken. But now, the silence in the stands told another story. I raised my head and shouted up at them, my voice hoarse but clear. "Is that all you've got?" It echoed through the arena like a challenge hurled at the heavens themselves. The guards at the gates looked uncertain now. The announcer, some kind of gelatinous creature with 1,000 teeth, fumbled for words in the alien tongue. And then the royal command came. A metallic voice boomed through the air. "Release the next one." The gate behind Gerthak opened. 2 more Varran stepped out. Twins, both armed, both enraged. My body screamed in protest, but my mind was calm. Adrenaline is a strange friend. It numbs you, sharpens you, makes the impossible possible. Smiled. They charged. The first swung wide, trying to flank me. I lunged straight for him, ignoring the second. I ducked his strike, drove my elbow into his gut, then swept his legs with a spin kick that sent him sprawling. The second came from behind. I felt the wind of his blade graze my back. Instinct took over. I turned, caught his wrist, and twisted until I heard the sickening pop of bone tearing from socket. He screamed, a guttural animal sound. I drove my knee into his jaw and felt his body go limp. By the time the first one got up, I was already on him. 1 punch. 3. Blood sprayed into the glass dust, sparkling like rubies in the sunlight. When he fell, I stood over him, panting, drenched in sweat and alien blood. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the sheer force of what I'd just done. 3 of them. Unarmed. Still breathing. And still standing. The crowd didn't know how to react. Their world was built on the idea that humans were curiosities, primitive pets from a forgotten world. And yet here I was in their grand arena, proving them wrong with every broken bone and shattered roar. The alien woman finally rose from her seat. The moment she stood, the others went silent again. Clearly she was someone important. Maybe royalty. Maybe something worse. Her voice, when it came, was soft but carried across the arena like silk over steel. "Enough." The guards hesitated. I said enough. They obeyed. The arena doors hissed open and 4 guards, smaller, armored in gold, approached cautiously. I didn't resist. They bound my hands with some kind of energy tether, glowing bands that hummed faintly. As they dragged me away, I looked up again at the woman. She hadn't looked away once. When our eyes met, something flickered across her face. Not disgust. Not pity. Recognition. They led me through a labyrinth of corridors beneath the arena, past cells filled with creatures from 100 worlds. Some hissed as I passed. Others recoiled. When we reached a door engraved with alien runes, the guards paused. One tapped a control pad. The door slid open with a hiss of cold vapor. Inside, the air was cool, perfumed faintly with something floral and alien. She was there, waiting. The woman with silver eyes. She wore flowing robes that shimmered like liquid starlight. Close, her features were sharper, regal. A crown of faintly glowing crystals floated above her head. Queen, then. Or something close to it. "Human," she said, her voice melodic, curious. "You fight differently." "Differently," I echoed, my throat raw. "That what you call it?" Her lips twitched, almost a smile. "You should not have survived. Gerthak has killed warriors far stronger than you." Shrug. He never fought anyone who wanted to live more than he wanted to win. That made her pause. Her gaze lingered on my hands, still bruised and bloodied. "You're kind," she said softly. "You were meant to be extinct. The archives said Earth fell long ago." "Maybe it did," I said. But we didn't. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. When I saw you fight barehanded, she said, I felt something I have not felt in 100 years. What's that? Fear. Her silver eyes caught the light, bright, unblinking, and utterly alien. But beneath that shimmer I saw something else. Respect, Part 2, the Queen's fear. Her words hung in the air like frost. Fear. It wasn't something I'd expected to hear from a woman who ruled an empire of 20 systems. But the way she said it, quiet, reverent, like it was something sacred, made me realize this wasn't about me. It was about humanity. The guards released me at her command. The energy bands faded from my wrists, leaving only faint burns. I rubbed them absently, never breaking her gaze. You fought many before me, I said carefully. But you didn't bring me here just to watch me die in your arena. She tilted her head. You assume much for a prisoner. Call it human instinct. That earned me a faint smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. She turned away, gliding across the chamber toward a holographic window that opened to the night sky. From here, the arena below looked like a pit of stars. The twin suns had set, and a river of silver moons glowed over the horizon. My name is Lysara, she said finally. High Sovereign of the Varran Dominion. We once ruled in peace, before your kind tore that illusion apart. I frowned. My kind. Her gaze darkened. Humans. The ghosts of Earth. You were myths, creatures from the old wars. Savage, relentless, unstoppable. We told stories to frighten our hatchlings. Stories of humans who burned worlds and never surrendered. But myths are supposed to stay buried. He turned back to me. And then I saw you. Silence stretched between us. I didn't come here looking for war, I said quietly. Your raiders hit our convoy on the edge of the Kepler Rift. I defended myself. They didn't take kindly to that. Lysara's eyes narrowed. You killed a dozen Varran soldiers. They attacked first. Her lips parted to speak, but she hesitated. That hesitation said more than her words could. Maybe she'd seen the reports. Maybe she'd seen the footage. Maybe she'd seen me tear through their armored troopers with nothing but a broken crowbar and willpower. You don't understand, I said, my voice low. Humans don't fight because we want to. We fight because if we don't, everything we love dies screaming. That line hit her harder than I expected. Her pupils contracted, then shimmered like liquid mercury. You think we don't know pain, she whispered. We've watched civilizations collapse. We've lost sons to the void. I believe it, I said. But we don't watch the end, we punch it in the teeth. She looked away again, her fingers brushing the edge of the holographic window. Your defiance is fascinating, she murmured. Even after capture, you speak as though you command the room. Maybe I do. That time she actually laughed. A soft, crystalline sound that felt out of place in a galaxy built on war. You're either brave, she said, or utterly mad. Why not both? Her amusement faded into something more thoughtful. Tell me, human, what do you fear? The question caught me off guard. I thought for a long moment before answering. Nothing I can see, I said. But losing what I can't protect. That keeps me up at night. She stared at me, studying my face like she was trying to read something buried beneath the scars and defiance. Then she said something I didn't expect. There's a war coming. One my people cannot win. The air shifted. She waved a hand, and the holographic display around us changed. The stars vanished, replaced by maps. Fleets, systems, red and blue lines stretching across galaxies. The Drath Collective, she said. They consume. They don't conquer, they erase. They're moving toward us. And beyond us lies your quadrant of space. Chill ran through me. You're saying they're coming for Earth. Whatever remains of it, she said softly. If humans still exist in number, they will be next. I stepped closer. And you want help? Lysara nodded slowly. I want understanding. You fight without augmentation, without fear, without even knowing how to yield. I watched you break a Varran's spine with your bare hands. My entire command fleet couldn't replicate that determination. How does your species endure like that? I thought back to every battlefield, every face lost to the void, every promise whispered before the bombs fell. Because we've already died 1,000 times, I said. We just never stayed down. She was silent for a long time. Then, almost reluctantly, she said, Perhaps, that is why I wanted to see you. To see if the legends were true. And are they? She met my eyes. Worse. Moments later, the chamber doors burst open. One of her generals stormed in. A towering crimson-scaled alien with armor that gleamed like wet metal. My sovereign, he barked. The Drath advance fleet just breached the outer rim. They're here. Lysara's calm shattered. How soon? Within the hour. Their void drives burn through our shields like smoke. Her gaze flicked to me, sharp as a blade. I didn't wait for orders. Let me fight. The general hissed. He's a prisoner. He's human, Lysara snapped. And if the stories are true, we'll need him. She turned to me. You said you wanted to live more than win. Do you still? Always. Then earn it. The corridors of the citadel blazed red with alarms. Guards ran, soldiers shouted, and the thunder of orbital bombardment shook the walls. I followed Lysara and her retinue to the surface hangars, where the sky burned violet with plasma fire. Varran dropships roared overhead, clashing with Drath fighters, living ships with organic hulls that screamed as they died. Lysara handed me a weapon, a pulse spear longer than my arm. I looked at it, then at my bloodied fists. I'll stick with what works, I said. She gave me a look that almost bordered on admiration. You're insane. Human, I corrected. The first wave hit the palace gates like a storm of claws and teeth. The Drath were grotesque, amalgamations of metal and flesh, their faces hidden behind twitching mandibles. They moved like beasts but struck with precision. The Varran soldiers were strong, brave, but they weren't human. I leapt into the fray, dodging a bladed limb, slamming my fist into a Drath's throat. It convulsed, acid spraying, but I didn't stop. I grabbed another by the neck, using its own momentum to throw it into a cluster of enemies. Lysara fought beside her guards, her staff glowing with white energy, cutting through enemies like ribbons of light. When one of the creatures lunged for her back, I was already there, snapping its spine before it touched her. She glanced at me, her expression unreadable. You protect even those who enslaved you. I protect life, I said. Even yours. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. The battle blurred into sound and blood and motion. When the smoke finally cleared, the ground was littered with corpses, Drath and Varran alike. Lysara stood amid the wreckage, her robes torn, her crown shattered. But she was alive. She turned to me slowly. You fought as if the universe owed you nothing. It doesn't. Her silver eyes flickered. Then take this instead. She pressed a small device into my palm, a crystalline shard pulsing faintly with blue light. It's a beacon, she said. If your people still exist, it will find them. Tell them. The Varran stand with humanity now. I looked at her, stunned. You're allying with us. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I'm surviving with you." We stood there under the burning skies, surrounded by the dead and dying. The scent of ozone and iron filled the air. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally she said, "When I saw you fight barehanded, I thought you were a monster. And now I think you're the last miracle this galaxy has left." I met her gaze, then looked toward the horizon, where the first light of a battered dawn began to rise. "Then let's make sure it remembers us." In the years that followed, stories spread through the stars. Of the human who fought barehanded beneath twin suns. Of the queen who froze in fear and rose in awe. And of a war where two dying races stood together and taught the galaxy what it truly meant to be alive.